What is going on? Happy Monday, happy Thursday. Why did I think it was Monday for a second? I hope we're all good. Some big old moves yesterday. The pound strength seemed to finally pop. The bubble and the absolute smoke that was holding the pound up seems to have finally given way. So obviously we've seen some quite big moves. Sorry, I just need to load up some charts. We saw some quite big moves yesterday, which has obviously led to some potential opportunities for today. Aussie yen, finally we saw that drive up. So from that pop up that we saw last week, the consolidation and the break above 83.40, 83.60 that we were talking about at the beginning of the week. We have now popped above, and obviously overnight have seen a further drive, a little bit of consolidation before that push to the upside. So what we want to do now is simply just await the retest of 84.50 and then take our trade from there. So all we're doing now is just waiting for that pullback. I'm just going to drop down into the lower time frames and have a little look. But we are simply waiting for the pullback into 84.50. When we get that and obviously then start to see a move away, we are going to take our position. So we're still looking for longs. Anything else at the moment doesn't really make much sense. So come to the 4 hours quickly. Now, we are still looking for the potential for some form of retracement. The yen has taken an absolute pounding. It's not just against Aussie yen, it's against Euro yen, dollar yen. All of these situations, the yen has not had a fun time with it at all. Although the fact that we're making a lower high here is a promising factor for this pair. But we see what happens with Aussie yen by the time we approach 84.50. If the momentum is there and that carries us through the 30 level, probably going to be quite content to look to take that short back to the downside. Somewhere into around the 40 level or 83.50. So a decent 100 pip trade, which for like Aussie yen, that doesn't really happen too often. So the fact that we've got that potential there available to us is something that we should probably look to take advantage of as and when that opportunity does arise for us. So we will be very, very mindful of that situation and whether or not we might get a potential pullback on that. It's not anything guaranteed. As I say, the yen has been so weak as of late. It has taken such a beating. We almost need to see how we play out and what happens. But from terms of a fundamental point of view, we don't really actually have anything. And there was positive Aussie data out overnight. So looking for the potential upside makes more sense than the downside. I think there's some dollar data out like 1:30, but nothing too important or nothing too strenuous. Why have I only poured myself half a cup of coffee? So nothing too strenuous. So we will see how we fare around 84.50 and we will go from there. If obviously we see the rejection and the bounce, we will continue to the upside. Now, I believe we have hit the target that we were looking for. I just want to get rid of a couple of these levels because they're not really relevant anymore. Just pull that. Ooh, this must have been way off into the future. There we go. Just going to pull that over and into that area. Now we need to find a potential new target. It's pretty easy to be fair, isn't it? 85.50, or do we come a little bit higher into this region at 86? I think we need to look at 85.80 as our next potential target. So obviously the break above, the rejection away from 84.50 should lead us into that 85.80 area. However, obviously the pullback for this definitely has potential to come back to this region. So we do need to be very mindful of that pullback into 83.40. Breaks back below kind of 83.30 will signify that. However, it doesn't look like we're going to get either opportunity at the moment. But that pullback is what we need to see. We've seen a break above, so that pullback does need to happen. It hasn't happened yet, so that is something for us to be extremely mindful of before trying to take a position on Aussie yen. US dollar CAD. We are so close to that target that I have been harping on about for so long. Which makes me extremely happy and feeds into my ego. Lovely. Everyone loves to be right. So we are seeing that last little ditch, that last little push that's necessary. Obviously, once we got through the 50 level yesterday, we have seen a significant drop to the downside. We may see some form of a pullback at some point. But to be perfectly honest, I'm not expecting that to happen until we finally get to this region. So when we finally get to 24.50, then I would expect to start to see some form of pullback come into the market. If we just reset that quickly, come out and obviously look over it as to why we are using this area of previous support. It's led to some pretty big movements before, obviously support through here also. So I'm definitely expecting to see some form of pullback. I'm very much likely for that to be back to 126 at some point. When that does occur, this no longer relevant. This probably actually was relevant. We'll leave that in there. We'll keep that low. However, at the point now, all we're focused on is 124.50 and that pullback to potentially 126. Those are the only areas that we're focused on. We cleared through the last of the support yesterday. Now, even if we come to the daily, I'm sure we can see now that we have smooth sailing. Absolutely nothing now. We're past 125.20 through that region. The only place for us to come to now is 124.50. So we need to wait for that to happen. Once we see that push to 124.50, that is our chance, an opportunity to take a position, or we keep an eye on 126. Everything between here now, not relevant. I'm not interested in trying to trade it. The moves have been significant. We have seen on the lower time frames little consolidations and those breaks. It makes zero sense to want to take any position in between these levels now. So if you're not already in it, unfortunately the move has gone. if you are, then happy days. Like I say, continue to ride that down, take out the last of it, and then obviously pat yourself and myself on the back for a job well done. GN, as I say, we finally saw the pound bubble pop yesterday. We're starting to stall a little bit. Oh, wow. We've seen the move happen that I wanted to see happen a couple of weeks ago. When we hit to 190.90 and then all of a sudden just flew in the opposite direction. We've actually seen the breakout occur now, and these swings are lovely. Now, as it goes as far as potential next entries, it looks as if we do need to clear the lows. Once we get below the lows, then we should then see a pop back down to around about 189, so a decent 70 or 80 pip position. Then from 189, I'm pretty sure we'll probably settle at somewhere around about 88 or 87 before we see potential pullbacks again. But from the 4-hour time frame, obviously we're looking lovely. We've seen a new swing come into play. We can see the need to just pop back below these lows, and once we're through there, then like I say, we should see pretty smooth sailing. Back into 189 to begin with, then obviously down to 188.50 and the lows that we see through here, and then, as I say, 87 is a possibility. Keep pushing and moving to the downside. The most important thing now is breaking through this support region at 88.60, 88.70. Is getting through this region, and then obviously we can go from there. But as I say, we have started to see the pound crumble a little bit and die off. Let me just pull up. Higher time frames here. So you were seeing pound CAD do the same thing, but you can see the daily candles that we saw yesterday, giving ourselves massive indication and massive sell-off opportunities. Pound dollar is the only one that I'm not convinced by, and we do need to get below 140.50. But other than that, things seem pretty good at the moment for potential drops further with the pound. Dollar yen, I think we're probably quite likely to break the highs at the moment. It doesn't seem that the yen is ready to kind of grow a backbone just yet. It looks as if we're probably just going to see that continue to take a battering for a little while longer. What we're starting to get towards is the kind of need for us to come to 106.50 and then 106, 107, that kind of area. So as things stand currently, I'll be looking for longs. However, as far as potential entries go, we can get back above the highs. We can get to like 106.20 and take an entry, but then we've only got 30 pips up to the highs. It doesn't really make much sense. I think looking at anything with dollar yen at the moment, the move has gone. The time to take it was down here at 105, or like the breaker back above. However, I was actually short from this area and ended up taking a loss on the pair. So it's a situation like the opportunity has passed us by. The only trade to take now is if we can pop back below 105.50. Between 106 and 105.60, 105.50, we don't really want to be involved in much. It's just a no man's land of just pure choppiness. We're going to go up and down throughout that region, I would well imagine. So with dollar yen, we don't have too much in the way of things to look at just yet. Euro yen, we have seen a massive push to the upside. We can get rid of that now. We can pull that back through to there. We can definitely get rid of that. And we can probably get rid of that. Daily. We want to put in at 130, so there's 60 pips away at the moment, and we're starting to reject. What's the lower time frame saying? Massive push. Singing golf in there. I don't like it. I hate taking trades when we've seen such a momentous push to the upside. That pullback just seems like the most logical thing to happen. At the moment, obviously, I don't see where the yen is going to gain its strength from, but I think as far as positions go, I want to just give the yen a wide berth at the moment. It's taken such a battering that I cannot see how it's possibly sustainable. It just doesn't make any sense to be involved in this position at the moment. The breakout I certainly didn't catch, so I've missed the opportunity to take that position, but so be it. I'm not bothered by that. We've had plenty that we have been able to take, so we can't be too upset by it, but I'd be very curious if we got a break back below kind of 129.20, at the potential for a short. But as things stand, I don't particularly like the long. There's been so much momentum in it that doesn't make any sense. Also, we can see from other euro pairs that that's not relevant to us anymore, is it? We can see from other euro pairs that we aren't particularly experiencing a strong euro at the moment. So it doesn't make any sense for us to want to be involved in positions that bank on euro strength when there are far better positions available to us banking on the exact opposite. If we take a look at Euro odds, obviously yesterday we were talking about the potential to drop back below or above, so above 154 would have seen the longs, or below 153.50. Obviously we did see the breakthrough and we came back, retested and saw that drive to the downside yesterday afternoon. Fired us nicely into profit on the pair, sitting around about 100 pips to the good, 110. So we are doing all right at the moment. As things stand, obviously we can definitely see further pushes to the downside. I think regarding it at the moment, though, obviously we have the potential to take out the lows. So we're starting to establish some support around this region at the moment. But what we are seeing, obviously, is quite a nice little doji pattern forming. So if we can take out the lows and the support that we have in play at the moment at 152.50, then I believe we will see that further drop into 151.60, that kind of area. So we just need to be a little bit mindful of it. Get below those lows and we should see the drop on Euro Oz. Euro New Zealand, again, we want to get below the lows. We've come back and retested the area of breakout and we're rejecting away, which is lovely. However, we are already about 20 pips on from where we should have taken an entry if we weren't already in it. So we now need to wait until the lows are taken out. Get back below 63.20 though, and we should soon see a drop to the downside. These levels no longer relevant. Pops back above 64.50, 64.10 even. No, actually, I do want to say 64.50. Are something that we need to be very, very mindful of. If we can get back above the 50 level, then we might potentially see drives to the upside. So just need to be a little bit mindful of that. But as things stand, we are looking pretty good. Every time we've seen these breakthroughs, we have seen a retest. We're seeing the retest now. If we can get a nice close within the next half an hour or an hour on Euro New Zealand with a 4-hour engulfing, then we will certainly have the potential to ride this position the rest of the way down. Where will we? Do we need to find a new target? I thought we had a downside target. Have we just reached it? Okay, right. It's got to be a 61.50 down here. So yeah, take out the lows at 63.20 and we should see a pretty decent drop down to kind of 61.50, 62 at least. So I think Euro New Zealand looks pretty good. Let's just have a classing glance at Euro CAD. Obviously, the support is still holding strong at 52.20. We need to get below the support for us to want to take that position. All we're seeing at the moment is this retest of the breakout. Absolutely fine. More than happy and comfortable with that situation. Obviously, we saw the drive from yesterday. We've consolidated and now we just need to get through that support at 52.20. I would imagine that that's probably our last target area on this as well. No, down at 51.50. So another 70 pips still to go on the pair. If we can get below 52.20, then obviously we have the potential for a trade. Going to get rid of that alert. That's not relevant to us at the moment. All we want to see now is whether or not we are going to pop back above 52.60. So we will keep an eye on that. But Aussie yen, Aussie Swiss, Euro, Aussie gold. Gold saw a huge drop yesterday. Huge drop. Sorry, this isn't actually a position that I'm in. This is a position that I was looking at for potential opportunities yesterday. I was going through gold with somebody yesterday and obviously highlighting the fact that once we had dropped from this area that we were going to need to come back and retest it at some point. So we were either going to get an entry from around the lows here or around this area through here. Now obviously said entry did come in. We saw that rejection away. I do not know how big that stop loss would have been, 60 odd pips, but we would currently be running about 120 in profit with a potential 160 on the table. If gold breaks through 117.85, then it will free fall down to 1760, or at least into 1768. Down into these lows. So we have now developed another little range. Pop out of this region and we are down. I'm pretty sure that's quite likely to happen today. I'm no longer interested in this level. All that I am interested in is getting below 1785. Get below there, and 1768 is pretty much a given. Last thing I want to look at is the potential for Aussie Swiss. Okay. Coffee. Starting to see a new swing form. We broke above the highs that we were talking about yesterday morning. I think we might be about to see this pair fight back. There's not a trade here. There's nothing below 71 or 72, so 71.90, somewhere around that region. Potentially get an entry to take you down to 71.20, but apart from that, there's not too much to go on. A lot of the moves seem to have occurred, so we've got the pound New Zealand break that we can look for, the Euro Oz and the Euro New Zealand breaks that we can look for. That we can be mindful of those areas. We've got gold that presents probably the best opportunity for some decent pips today. The yen pairs given a wide berth to, don't really want to be involved in those as things stand. Dollar CAD, as I say, we're now about 40 pips away from target. You can take a potential position below the lows if you want to, but I wouldn't necessarily advise it. So we have some decent things coming into fruition and into play. So as I say, there's not really anything in the way of fundamentals. As far as I'm aware, over the rest of the day, dollar prelim GDP at 130. That would be quite interesting, but shouldn't actually cause too many issues. Bank of New Zealand speech at 11:30 tonight. Pretty easy. Yesterday was the big day. Obviously, New Zealand interest rates, pound monetary policy, chair testimony. That was the big day. Today's relatively quiet in comparison. So unless we see some major differences, some major changes, then I don't think we will see anything untoward or anything peculiar occur or happen. We should just see a pretty straightforward day as far as trading opportunities go. So I will catch up with people later. I've got quite a busy day ahead, but I will be floating about. If anyone wants anything, let me know.